So for our next speaker, we'll have Julia Newell, or Newell? And she
Newell.
wants to Newell. Okay. Would you like to connect your computer? Or how do you want to do it?
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Don't touch anything. Go for it.
Good morning, MIT. Julia. Hearing. You. Me.
We cannot hear you, Julia.
So are you flat?
I'd imagine those last few moments were pretty frustrating as you could not hear exactly what I was saying. I imagine that you could not hear what, per se, I was going to talk about today in my presentation, and what the name of my nonprofit is. Well, welcome to my world, and the world of people like me with hearing loss and disabilities, and my motivation for my nonprofit, Here You Know Me, because I want to change the deficiency of hearing in this world designed for people who can hear, and the perception of this deficiency, so that people like myself with hearing loss and disabilities can be equally seen, heard, and understood for our unique abilities, and for us to likewise feel the same about ourselves because we better understand ourselves. Hi, my name is Julia Newell, and I am going to be presenting on my story and my nonprofit, Here You Know Me. First off, I want to say how fantastic it is to be here today, and how incredibly excited I am to be in discussion with such inspiring experts as I've seen these past few days, like yourselves. So, as it turns out, research tells us that I am not alone in my experience with hearing loss. 15%, roughly, of teens have some level of hearing loss, and that does not include the many, like myself, who go undiagnosed. And so, many of us, especially the ones who go undiagnosed, experience the same experience you guys all just had in the beginning of my presentation. We are constantly asking ourselves, is there something external that is making me have a harder time hearing and knowing what's going on? Is it hearing loss? Or is it something else? Or is it me? Is it my ability to navigate this world designed for people who can hear? And so, when undiagnosed with mild to moderate hearing loss, which I now know, until I was 10 years old. So that meant I had 10 whole years of developing these skills to create more equity for myself without even knowing what was going on, asking those same questions every single day, going into traditional environments. And so I developed these skills such as collaborating with valuing every single perspective in the room because I depend on it, and listening constructively to constructive criticism because I likewise depend on it, being wired to problem solve, navigating this world designed for people who can hear. And lastly, just being the ability to initiate, because every single day navigating this world, I have to initiate and advocate for myself. And those are just some examples. And so I decided, and then everything changed with the rise of the pandemic. Then all of a sudden, there was additional physical barriers to my hearing loss. There was the implementation of masks, there was social distancing, and there was Zoom lagging. On all fronts, I experienced these physical barriers, and then I decided, so that is when I decided in the initial months of quarantine that I had to do something about this. That is when I decided I had to address this disparity between our perceived disability and our actual unique capabilities and ability. And so that is when I decided I had to create a program that helped this community have a more equal platform in our society to share their unique strengths so they could have the proper education of skill sets that would create this more equitable platform, and likewise create a platform for them to then have a doorway into these opportunities. And so this is backed up by our knowledge of what the success of these abilities in our workplace today that are even more desirable because we're in the position of this pandemic and post-pandemic world where everything has been upended. Who knows how to better navigate being upended than the people who are wired to problem solve and are upended on a daily basis? And so we know this also because of we know the fact that so many people who are executives and CEOs have dyslexia. And maybe that because they have these skills, so maybe this is a broader representation of a broader demographic of people who have refined these skills through their life experiences. And that is what makes them such great leaders. Likewise, another example is we know that so many of the groundbreaking entrepreneurs are people with disabilities. And this is not surprising because people with disabilities are wired to problem solve and think differently. And so I welcome all of you to join me on this initiative because we, people like me, need your support and varied expertise in discussion so we can create better solutions to these problems that people like me lives depend on. And we need more effective and efficient solutions because we need this to be solved now. And so I welcome you to contact me any way you want and through any of my personal information or talking to me after this conference. And if you pull up my QR code right here, you can see the list of my advisors. And that just shows that I also have to thank not only my amazing friends and family who have supported me all this way and have given me confidence to be here today, but I have also had the immense support of my team, which have varied expertise in fields such as business, research, and media. And I lastly have to thank Dimitri for inviting me here today and playing such a crucial role and getting me onto this quite literal platform. Thank you.
Nope. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
I love the energy of this. You are so right. So many entrepreneurs and wildly successful people have disabilities. Sometimes very obvious. You can tell that people have what is it called? Neurally atypical or neuroatypical. In fact, somebody gave me this statistic. Not sure if it's entirely accurate, but 70% of the people at MIT are neuroatypical, meaning we have. Some people call it suffering. I call it a superpower. A lot of us have ADD, attention deficit disorder. And just my thing on this is that it's mislabeled. It's not an attention deficit that we have. We have too much attention. We have a problem focusing attention on just one thing. So when you have, it's difficult for you to isolate and focus. That's because you have too much attention. You're paying attention to everything. It's not that you don't have enough attention. You just have too much of it, and it's hard to control. It's like you're trying to drive a Ferrari, but you don't know how to drive it. It's going all over the place. So it's too powerful, our attention, for people with ADD. Julia, what a wonderful thing. I want you to, the question for you from me, as people are getting ready, is what would you like from this community? And how do you see expanding your message to beyond hearing loss, but other disabilities as well? I felt a lot of good energy there. So what would you like from the community, and how do you expand?
Perfect. The question I didn't get to answer in 3 minutes. So, first of all, your first part of your question, I would welcome anything you have to offer. I'm in the initial stages of this initiative, which provides a lot of opportunity. But like I said, people like me need people like you to make this happen most effectively and efficiently and just in general. And so I welcome anything you have to give, whether it's constructive criticism, which we love, by the way, or ideas, or whether you want to advise or be a part of this initiative or make it more interdisciplinary. Because I believe we also create more effective solutions when we combine many different fields and many different ideas and have people from all over and the same team working together on the same purpose and initiative. And can you remind me again what your second question was?
How do you expand to beyond hearing loss and encompass all disabilities?
Perfect. So this is actually my broader vision. I focused on hearing loss because that's what my experience was or is, and I started this when I was 16. So I wanted it to be feasible. But eventually, my broader vision is to include everyone because I believe that, first of all, everyone could use these skill sets, especially in a pandemic and post-pandemic world. Everything's been upended, and we need to work together. We need to develop these skills in all fields. But I also believe that this is not just true for people with disabilities. I explained how it affects people with disabilities and how people with disabilities have created these necessary skills, but that they are not the only ones. I believe that this is every group of marginalization because they've experienced different forms of barriers that they've had to navigate, that they've had to figure out how to problem solve, which means they also have a different perspective on the world and likewise think differently, which is valuable and we need to recognize, and rather as seeing them as other or different, likewise encourage them to be more a part of the conversation and share their unique perspectives, because maybe we would have solved more of today's complex problems if we included a more diverse group of people in that conversation, which it also affects more of a diverse group of people than are currently in the conversation.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
There, thank you.
Of course.
This is Dimitri. Thank you, Julia. I just want to clarify a couple of points. I met Julia when she was in high school, and this was a few months ago. So she's beginning now her college career, and based on the presentation that I didn't get to hear before, we didn't practice this. We only practiced the first part where I had to ask you, Julia, we cannot hear you. But I think you should consider, your mom is sitting there, but I think you should think about law school. Because that was definitely a very good, powerful presentation. I do want to mention something which was mentioned by the speaker before, which is a multidisciplinary approach to this. And I think this is where you came in, or at least we're trying to kind of bring it in, under a multidisciplinary, because olfaction is just one of our senses, and I think this kind of brings together some of the other issues that we have to deal with, but all of us at the same time. So thank you for being a part of it. I do want to mention something else. Julia works with Nico Dracoulis, who is a good friend of mine, and he is with a company called Sure People. And I think hopefully we will see him next year in person here. So thank you. Great job.
Thank you so much.